So I'm sitting there holding a fishing pole, clearly. Guy comes over, what are you fishing? No, I'm trying to contact the mothership. It's the only way. Alright guys, we are in the RV, comfy in bed. Put together this little video for you guys. Think you'll enjoy it. Let me know what you think of this format. Comment.
Wir wollen zusammen traurig sein. Komm mit.
North Carolina rhyolite, an incredibly hard stone to net into an arrowhead.
Flint flake removal. It slides off in a razor-sharp shard like this when you brutally strike it with a moose antler.
FLINT arrowheads. I'm gonna transform it into an arrowhead. And once we got some flakes off, I'm gonna take antler and press more flakes off. Like that. Alright, got this all worked down with the antler. Put some notches in. A nice glass arrowhead. Now we're gonna put it on an arrow and test fire it. Alright, we got some moose tendon, and we got the glass arrowhead glued in there. So we're going to take the moose tendon and wrap it. Now we're going to let it dry. Gotta let it dry. Okay, I let this dry for about a half an hour. It's probably not enough time, we'll try it anyway. No damage whatsoever to the glass arrowhead. Nice. Alright, I'm going to test the thrower with the biggest point I put on the dart. Alright. Yep. That works. Works pretty good. That's a big wound. The paleo point with the other atlat. Yeah, that works. Not throwing very hard. Nice. Three different qualities of chert here. This one on the end is like almost gemstone. The one in the middle is shale, and the one on the end there just looks like normal chert. Interesting. Look at that. So the stuff that looks like basalt is black flint. Little glacial cobble things. This is high quality. Like, it's pretty flawless. Besides this, it's the land of quartzite here. Like all of this, like this is quartzite. These are all quartzite. If you have a high-powered bow, this will work. This will definitely work. It's on bamboo. And like I said, it's a little wet. It's not going to dry for a while. Rhyolite point that I made cut right through the sinew. But I just wanted to test how strong it was. Seems pretty strong. How the hell am I going to get that out of there? I fired it from a 70-pound bow at about 5 yards. Maybe I'll give it one more shot. So I tried regrinding the edges here to make them a little more dull so they don't cut through the sinew. I'm going to put it right back in now. Alright, so I'm going to test the strength of this stone. It's rhyolite from North Carolina. And it's not dried completely yet, but I'm just testing the strength. Alright, see how it did. That's in there. So this is the kind of stuff I like to work. If this was obsidian, this would be in 1,000 pieces. There's not even damage. I'm not doing anything more with this. Flew to both sides. This one skipped weird. from that chunk. That's East Coast. This stuff's tough. I don't know what happened there. It like skipped 3 times. Went pew, pew, pew. Would have liked it to be a little bit bigger, but there was a flaw right here and it snapped. So, oh well. Good enough. Very sharp. Thin enough.
Arrowhead from incredibly tough rock.
Green Norman scale chert. All kinds of cracks and lines in it. But it's such a pretty color. It down with percussion. I'm keeping these flakes. Alright, so it kind of snapped in half while I was smacking it there. I did get some good flakes off of it, but I'm going to see what I could do with this final piece here. So if you ask any Northeast snapper about Norman scale, they'll tell you it's all full of damage like this. It's very tough to work. But I'll get something out of this. Smaller and smaller. I am determined that we'll get a point out of this. So this is really bashing up my fingers here. But I'm getting it thinner, I'm getting rid of the damage. See that crud in there? Using indirect, and it's working pretty well. And here's the cracks I was talking about. See that brown stuff in there? A lot of fluted points made of this stuff were small like this for this exact reason, I think. A lot of people say they were resharpened down, but I think it's just the material, man. It's not top quality. I think I'm either gonna make a small bifurcated point or a stemmed point. I'm not sure yet. Getting down there, really busting up my fingers though. Determined here. Fingers are turning red, smacking this thing. I gotta thin it more. Alright. I hit the rest with regular pressure flaking. Maybe a little bit more indirect. Alright guys, I really struggled with this one. I'm gonna hit right here, and I'm gonna hit right here. But this stuff is incredibly tough. I didn't expect it to be this hard. And that's Norman scale chert. Alright, let's finish it up. Alright. So this kind of kicked my butt, but I managed to get a point out of it. Call it a Lavana or a Dalton. I ground the edges and the base. I should probably flake that a bit more. But wow, man. That's the toughest bit of Norman scale I've worked. I'm keeping that point. That's probably going on a necklace for me. That was a challenge and a half. Alright. It's just about midnight. Finish up. Enjoy, guys. Look at that. Let's see if we could get the flaking good. You can't really see that at all, can you? Alright guys, that's it for me. I could probably thin it a bit more right there, but I'm not gonna. waste any more time on this piece. Wow. Tough to thin. Tough to shape. Proud of this outcome though. Alright, you guys all have a good one. That's it for me. Have a good night. Let's get one more look at it inside here. Let's wet it for a minute, just see what it looks like. Yeah, that's a pretty nice point. Sweet. A lot of damaged material, but you could make some pretty stuff out of it. Deadly. Deadly point, like a sharp tooth. Alright, have a good one. Good night, guys. Let me show you what I'm talking about with this rock. Try this piece. Now the problem is, it fractures into cubes. So when you hit it, this piece doesn't look too bad right there. You see that blue-gray? The problem would be getting a decent, there we go. Decent flake off. For the most part, breaks off into little pieces like that. If you tap it, it kind of just crumbles apart. This piece wouldn't be too good, as you can see there. And I still got all this. Now if I come in at the side, it does not seem to crumble into cubes as bad. Like that. Yeah, make a point right out of that. But I think what I'm gonna do is try to nap this piece down and see if I could come up with a tiny point. See how that cube just blew off? This is what I mean about fracturing into cubes. Like that. So I've been trying to learn how to work around that. And it seems like the problem is like the outer layer turns into cubes. So let's see if we could get a point out of this. I see a crack going through there and a crack going through here. So again, it's going to be a little tiny point. Those little points are effective. Where I collected this rock, the artifacts found near there were all pretty small. Which leads me to believe that they did work this stuff. And when I say they, I mean the ancient people. I kind of just smack it down into a rough shape until I could start using the indirect. Alright. Basic shape like that. Now, let's try the indirect. It takes off pretty good flakes. And I'm just working around the damage that I see. So I'm going to knock away this whole piece that had the crack. Again, kind of cubey. And then from this point, it's just a matter of thinning it. I don't really see too much more that's gonna break it. It looks cruddy, but usually as the end result, it comes out pretty nice, just small. So we'll see if we could actually get a little bit of a possibly bigger point out of this piece. Just don't know how possible it actually is to get bigger pieces out of this creek rock. If you get the other Onondaga, that thing I could make huge blades out of. I showed that in one of my other videos. Recent. The stuff Ontario Rockhound sent me is amazing rock. Let's see if we could fix this. All right. There we go. It also kind of crushes weird sometimes, but that's okay. Trying to see if I could get a somewhat bigger point this time. I'm glad I was able to show what I meant about cubes. Alright. Sun angle is changing on me here. That's okay, you can still see what's going on. So there is some weird stuff in this piece. Show you what I've been struggling with here. Got that ridge off right there. Now this stuff in particular, I do not recommend trying to get extremely thin because it is so freeze damaged. Thinner you go, more chance you have of breaking it. Just trying to thin the base there a little bit more. I lost my abrader. I don't have anything else nearby except this, and it is not really too helpful. Stuff really is really hard to get used to. I'm gonna try coming in from right there to get rid of some of that turtle back. It's also really tough. And if you hit too hard, you're gonna mess it up. So I just hit right there. Pulled a good portion of that off. And I see some freeze damage in there. So I'm gonna try to indirect it out by putting it directly on that little hinge. Lightly tapping. That does not seem to be working. Alright. That spot is the problem. I'll do my best with it. It's also a little unpredictable, this material. So don't be too upset if it breaks on you. Especially when trying to get rid of these ridges. So I broke this piece here and created a very sharp edge right there. And this is another way you could tell if you could use it as a tool or not. It'll take the bark off real easy. I'll take this one with me and see if I can make a nice point out of it. I'm very curious if I can. We'll give it a try, and I'll get back to you if I make something out of it. So, for all I know, this might be the silicified sandstone. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into this more. This is working. So you never know. I have no idea what this stone is. And it's working. And this is Connecticut. So try everything. You never know. Like it looked like that beforehand. And now it's taking shape. And it flakes. You can see the... So I just hit there at the base. Put some notches in it, sharpen it, zigzag this edge. And that'll be a finished point from unidentified material. I have no idea what that is, but it flakes. So I got it all flaked up. I'm just going to put some notches in it. Interesting material here. Sharp as heck. Little jab. And a nice place to tie it on. It's crude, but it'll work.